Hi, my name is Rick Adams from Practical CSM, and today I want to talk about Customer Success Management certification. Now, this is a topic I quite often get asked about, and hence I thought I would put my ideas down in this short video. So I'm going to ask myself three questions. Why is certification so important? Who needs Customer Success Management certification? And how do you go about selecting the right training and certification program for yourself or for your team? So let's kick off with, why is certification so important? Well, to my mind, every professional needs some sort of qualification to prove their level of expertise. Now, if you think about it, lawyers, doctors, financial advisors, network security engineers, solution architects, whoever they are, has got some sort of qualification in their specific role. And there's a number of very good reasons for this. And the first reason is customer confidence. So, for example, if you were going to pick a dentist to go to, maybe you've moved to a new area, so you need to find yourself a dentist, who are you going to pick? Oh, of course, you're going to select a dentist who is qualified to be a dentist, who has some sort of qualification up on their wall with a certificate, to prove that they know what they're doing. You're not going to go to a friend of a friend who happens to have an interest in dentistry. You're going to go to a professional. And by its nature, when we say a professional, we mean someone who's qualified. So why is that any different with one of our company's customers who wants to be reassured that when they're buying our product and having purchased it, they are then going to use that to generate value, that the person who is going to be appointed to help them get that value is a professional, knows customer success management best practices, and therefore is actually going to be useful to them in the process of generating the maximum value from the products and services they've purchased from us. So customer confidence is the number one reason why we should all be qualified CSMs. The second reason, I would say, is personal confidence. The person themselves will feel confident if they know they've been through a certification process and they've actually passed the exams. And so they can, if you like, they can rate themselves and compare themselves against everybody else, against a benchmark standard, and be confident that they've met that standard. So it gives us the springboard for feeling confident about ourselves and potentially for career advancement. So it's a great incentive as part of a remuneration package to offer certification training and a certification program to your team. Reason number three I would give is corporate confidence. And I'm talking here really about the other parts of the business who may or may not understand exactly what we do here in customer success management, because it's still, relatively speaking, a new part of the organization. And to give them a feeling of confidence in us, to understand that just like them, we had to get qualified. We've been through that process of training and of it being examined and tested to make sure that we do understand best practice in customer success management, is going to give them better confidence and perhaps help us to build better relationships with and collaborate more tightly with those other parts of the business. For reason number four, I would suggest standardization. So by going through a certification program as a team, well, we're all going to be trained in the same way, to the same standard, using the same or similar language to describe things, and we're going to follow the same sorts or similar sorts of best practices. And this makes us more interchangeable as units within the team, and helps us to slot things together, helps us to replace each other if somebody's on leave, standardizes our resources, things like frameworks, documented processes, playlists, software tools. All of this can reduce overheads, maintain the quality through this standardization process. Which leads me to number five, which is scalability. Now, scalability, what I'm talking about here is it becomes easier to attract new talent because, again, we're offering certification training in that remuneration package that we talked about earlier. But it's also then easier to train new team members when they join us, because there's a standard training program leading to standard certifications. It's got levels within it. We can incentivize the levels by linking that to remuneration levels. We can determine requirements ahead of time for new team members. We can write meaningful job descriptions. There's less overhead required by senior leaders. And it may well be that this is replacing, the old way where, as a smaller team, perhaps perhaps the senior leader did have more time available for one-to-one coaching and training on an ad hoc basis. But that is not possible as you scale and grow the team. Reason number 6, then, I would say, is better business processes. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you can document the systems and processes for hiring, including certification requirements for each role, job descriptions that list the tasks to be achieved at that level of the role, pre-known recognized progress paths to take you to further levels, incentives for achieving them. This gives us confidence for HR to know where they are, managers are in better control, and individual team members can understand their options and have more accurate expectations about what's expected of them and what their options for future advancement might be. Okay, so that was my first question about why certification is important, and I think it really applies, to be quite honest, with any type of profession. But what about customer success management certification itself? Like, who needs customer success management certification? Well, as we've just stated, our opinion is that every professional that wants to be taken seriously in their stated profession needs to get themselves qualified one way or the other. And alongside academic qualifications, things like a degree or even maybe a master's, comes professional qualifications. And these show not just book knowledge, but an actual ability to perform in the role in front of customers, in live conditions, dealing with real world situations, which tend to be, as we know, a lot more messy and unclear than the ones used in the textbooks to explain the basic concepts. So our strong opinion is that all CSMs should get qualified as a CSM. And this includes everyone, from brand new entrants into junior CS roles, as well as more experienced existing CSMs with 1 or 2 years of experience under their belts. There's no excuse, basically, is what we're saying. However, we also believe that even more senior CS professionals, up to and even including team leaders, and sometimes even departmental leaders, should also get themselves trained and qualified. And this is for a number of reasons, but principally for 2 reasons. Firstly, the role of customer success manager has changed and grown substantially since its inception. And a senior manager who relies upon their experiences of several years ago would do well, in our opinion, to complete a modern training and certification program to ensure that they are up to date and well versed in current CS best practice, just as they expect their team to be. The second reason that we would state is that we're strong believers in the concept of servant leadership. And part of servant leadership is the willingness to do that which you are asking your team to do. Now, completing a full certification program, particularly if it's a self-study one like our own, takes dedication. Time must be dedicated to the learning experience over an extensive period before results get attained. So, to become qualified with us at Practical CSM takes a fair degree of dedication and perhaps even some sacrifice of time that could have been otherwise spent on some other task or tasks. Now, by leading from the front, the CS leader not only shows leadership and inspires other team members to do the same, but in sharing the training process over the months needed to complete our program, the leader can work with their team to overcome any difficulties of understanding and to help apply the tools, the techniques, the best practices learned to the real world situations that their team members face when dealing with their real customers back in the live work situation. And we see this as a very real evidence of and proof of the usefulness of everybody going through this process together, as including the senior leaders. Okay, my next question is, how do you select the right training and certification program? What should you look for when deciding which training and certification program to purchase for your team? And I've got 3 sort of basic characteristics and one perhaps potential additional one, at least for the future. But my first characteristic that you should be looking for is credibility. What level of subject matter expertise can the training provider demonstrate? Customer success management is, as we've said, a relatively new profession, and whilst there are certainly overlaps in other professions like sales or project management or service and support, Customer success management has its own strategic objectives, its own best practices, and its own KPIs for measurement and reporting purposes. It's not enough to be a good training provider without sufficient experience in and understanding of customer success management best practices. After all, that's why you're engaging with the training in the first place. But that said, I would also suggest that you also do have to have an understanding, you have to be a good training provider and have a good understanding of training best practice as well. Now, at Practical CSM, our CEO, myself, Rick Adams, quite literally, I wrote the book on customer success management best practices. My first book, Practical Customer Success Management, a best practice framework for rapid generation of customer success, lays down for the first time exactly what best practice in customer success management looks like. Now, our certification program follows our seven-phase practical CSM framework, which is published both in this book and elsewhere, and which provides a simple and logical path through the entire post-sales customer experience lifecycle. Each phase of this framework has one or more training modules associated with it, and the final examinations are all based on an understanding of all the best practices contained within it. My second thing that I would look for is extensiveness. You need to be sure that not just the quality, but also the quantity of content is there to ensure that your team members will get everything they need in terms of coverage of the entire role that customer success managers are called upon to perform, from customer research to onboarding to adoption planning and implementation to value realization and even to engagement evaluation for ongoing team and individual improvement. Within this content should be all the skills of stakeholder management, relationship building, listening, consultative questioning, leadership, negotiation, time management, data analysis, report writing and presentation, and many more. Also should be included an understanding of wider best practices that can be deployed by the expert CSM lifted from complementary professions, including those of project manager, change manager, account manager, and service and support manager. And again, at Practical CSM, our Certified CSM Professional Training and Certification Program contains around 80 or so hours, depending upon your learning speed, of core training in all of this and much more. And in addition, students get access to our entire library of thousands of learning assets on a wide variety of customer success related topics, as well as a monthly schedule of live training events and thought leader interviews that they can access as much or as little as they wish to supplement their core certification training program content. Third is rigor. How is the student and candidate for qualification trained and examined? Is there a published syllabus that details every examinable topic? Is there a committee of experts who help to establish need and advise upon change? Is the training content written by a subject matter expert? Is it authored by a training expert? Is the content made available in multiple formats, including video, audio, and written documentation? Are there exercises and illustrations? Does the training include tools and checklists? Can the students test themselves to ensure they've understood the content as they move forwards through the program? Is there a way to show progress to students? Is the content high quality and sufficiently engaging? For example, does it include HD quality video and audio talking headshots of the instructor, taken in studio conditions using professional equipment and edited using professional audio and video editing suites by an expert multimedia editing team? And if not, what will be the impact on your team after going through multiple hours of mediocre quality training videos on a self-study basis? Will they last the duration? And if not, what will be the impact on your training ROI? At practicalcsm.com, we are not just the authors of our own training and certification program, but as an independent freelance training consultant back in 2017-2018, I also authored the first version of Cisco's Certified CSM Professional Program for them, both the online self-study and the classroom-based components, based obviously on their requirements, which they workshopped with me, and which are still largely similar to the version available today. Also, we are the provider of customer success learning content to LinkedIn Learning, where well over 100,000 students have experienced our training courses. For our own offerings, we have taken great care to author all our content in a way that makes the content easy to understand and digest, even for those for whom English is a second language, yet still ensuring that our learning is interesting and engaging and an enjoyable experience that draws in the student and helps them to stay longer to learn more. Okay, finally, I'm sometimes asked about accreditation. In other words, is there an independent body that ratifies customer success management training and certification against some neutral standard? Now, in broad principle, I'm all for accreditation. However, at this early stage, there's not really anything much out there that has meaning, and currently there is only one organisation that I am aware of which offers a kind of ratification, and indeed, when they were developing their standard, they asked me to contribute ideas for it, which I duly did. However, we've not elected at this time to pay the fee they then asked us to state that our content met the standard that they ended up creating. This is simply because this particular organisation is not itself experienced in training and certification standards and best practices, and we do not yet feel that the standard that they ended up with is mature enough to be meaningful, and we know that our training and certification is far more extensive in its content than this standard and goes well beyond it in terms of the breadth and depth of the topics that we provide training and certification on. So there we go. I hope that this has proved a useful dive into my thoughts around customer success management certification, why certification in general is important, who needs customer success management certification, and how would you go about selecting the right training and certification program. If you're interested in having a independent and completely free, no obligation meeting with us to discuss your personal or your team's certification and training requirements, then please do get in touch. So that's it from me, Rick Adams, CEO at practicalcsm.com, saying thank you very much, and I look forward to speaking to you again on another topic relating to customer success management very soon.